We turn now to the story of a woman who helped topple Harvey Weinstein and expose his rampant sexual abuse, but has remained largely behind the scenes until now. Her name is Lauren O'Connor.
I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. Whoa. I did try and fuck her. She was married.
It's huge news, Sarah.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages. And I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch. But I couldn't get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you grab them by the pussy.
I go now, though, to Karen Hinton. She is one of the women who accused Governor Cuomo of inappropriate conduct. Now we have this report, Attorney General's report, finding that Cuomo harassed 11 women, violated federal and state law.
Yes. One thing that I do believe as a feminist is that in order for us to have gender equality, we have to stop making it a girl fight, and we have to stop being so interested in seeing girls try to tear each other down. It has to be more about cheering each other on.
Today, we are launching a campaign called He for She. I am reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality. And to do this, we need everyone involved. This is the first campaign of its kind at the UN. We want to try and galvanize as many men and boys as possible to be advocates for change. And we don't just want to talk about it. We want to try and make sure that it's tangible.
They leer at me, they whistle at me, they follow me, they touch me, they grab me, they infantilize me. Always men. It happens all the time, and I hate it, and I hate that I'm used to it. Nobody should have to get used to sexual harassment. When and how does it end? Sexual harassment? Sexual assault? Sexual exploitation? When and how? Why does society not see a problem? And why are they always quick to defend men? I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm so angry that women have to endure this bullshit, and I'm frustrated. And when I try to explain to my guy friends why I'm afraid to go to the gym because of the creepy old guy who watches me when I'm on the treadmill, and they just act they make me feel like I'm being unreasonable and just being like an angry girl for being frustrated about it. As I've gotten older, everything has changed. I'm now considering my house keys as a possible weapon. I think of my phone as a quicker access to 911 than for chatting with my friends. I wear my hair down more often because, I feel cute with my hair down. And, also it makes it less easy for someone to grab. As I walk down the street, each new block necessitates a new plan of action. My mind is constantly strategizing. What would I do? Where do I go if someone were to follow me? There's a grocery store on 5th and Main, a gas station the next block, and I wonder if I could run to one of the doors of the homes in this neighborhood and bang on the door for help. Would that be safe? My safety is always on my mind. It's good. It's necessary. I hate it.
I think I was 13, and I was having a really great time with my friends at Knott's Berry Farm. But it was really crowded, and it started to get dark, and so I got separated from my friends. And in that small moment of time, I felt a hand reach up my skirt and touch my butt. Grabbed it. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, frozen. I didn't see who it was, and I just felt so gross. And so when I finally found my friend, I told her what happened, and she said to me, well, there's nothing you can do about it now, so I guess just move on. And, well, you don't know if he actually meant to do that. Maybe he just accidentally hit you. And it's not that big of a deal. And I was just so confused. How could something so scary mean nothing? And so I started to invalidate all of my thoughts and started making excuses for him. And, well, what if I wasn't wearing a skirt? Because that's tempting. And he probably thought I was someone else. Maybe it was just an accident. Accident. But I just couldn't shake this anger that I was feeling. For the person or for my friend.
Men have yelled at me on the streets countless times. They whistle, they tell me I need to smile more, they get offended when I don't respond. But one that stuck out to me the most was when I was 14 and walking down the street in Laguna with my friend. I was wearing a blue bikini and didn't put on my cover-up because I didn't want it to get wet. We were walking to our ride and a white SUV filled with college boys rolled down their window and yelled at us to give them our numbers, and they said multiple inappropriate things and then drove away. They circled back around and followed us for a couple blocks until they finally left. It's made me scared and more conscious about what I wear in public. Whenever I'm getting ready in the morning, I have to think about the kind of people that might see me. I'm scared of wearing anything that shows too much leg, even if I look cute in it, because I know if something happens to me, people will use it against me. I feel weird walking around the beach in a bikini now. I feel safest when I'm wearing something that hides my figure because maybe if I wear something that makes me look less feminine, I might be safer. Now I don't really feel free to dress like myself, and if I do, I'm always worried about regretting it.
When I think back on my relationship or talk about it with other people, it is clear to me that it wasn't normal. I'd never been in a relationship before, and I wasn't really taught on how to feel about it. But I always felt uncomfortable around him. I wouldn't wear skirts or fishnets if I didn't want to do anything sexual with him, and I avoided certain outfits when we FaceTimed because I knew he would sexualize me or ask for nudes. And we had a dozen conversations about how he would objectify me. And I like to use humor to deflect, so I would make jokes about it, and then he would yell at me and tell me to stop making jokes about him objectifying me because it made him feel uncomfortable. I would dissociate whenever he would try to get me in the mood after I explicitly stated I didn't want to do anything. And I would confront him about how all of it made me feel weird. And then he would cry in my arms as I apologized to him. And I told him that everything was going to be okay. He would make inappropriate requests that made me feel uncomfortable time and time again. And he would get possessive and jealous about any relationship I had with a guy friend, but no, never girls. And I never saw any of it, but so did everybody else. And I never thought about any of it until it ended. And he never thought or worried about me, even after everything that had happened. Oh, but don't worry, he still asks, "Did you tell anyone?" The answer was always no. I was never taught to open up. I was never taught that an abuser could look like anyone. So even after every horrific thing that he did to me, and every irreversible effect he had on me, there wasn't anything I could do. Because of who he was and how he was perceived, I couldn't tell my story. And I still can't. It's horrifying to think that if I outed my sexual abuser and someone who traumatized me, I would be the bad guy.
It's like I never know what to do in situations like this. Because it's a compliment, you know? You're getting complimented, and I want to say thank you, but also I want to turn around and yell, fuck you, you know? It's like there's this lack of clarity for victims in these situations. And you know, in California with all this construction workers, it happens so often. And I want to help them know that what they're doing is wrong, you know? And me and my next door neighbor, we walk to the gym every day, and we get catcalled at least 5 times, going there and back. And it's just like, these situations, these unsafe situations, nobody should feel like they're normalized, you know?
She was the first girl I ever liked. I sat behind her in algebra my sophomore year, and she was so cool. She played bass in a band, and she was just so funny and confident and always made people laugh. I remember I really liked her freckles. I mean, she was perfect, almost. I think it was around New Year's when I finally had the courage to ask her out, and she said yes. It was great. I mean, we started talking more outside of class. She met some of my friends, I met some of hers. It was great. And then she asked me to go to this pep rally thing at our school, but I mean, it wasn't really my scene. I don't really do crowds. I was nervous, you know, it's a lot of people looking at us. And I don't remember exactly when it happened. I just remember we were walking in the crowd to the bleachers to go sit, and I was holding her hand, and she was behind me so we wouldn't get separated, and then I just couldn't feel her hand anymore, and for like a brief 5 seconds I just panicked, and I started looking around, and then I felt her hands. She put her hands on me from behind, on my waist and on my chest, and started going lower. And she didn't stop, and my stomach just dropped, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I wasn't even ready to kiss her yet, and I just remember feeling really angry, so I pushed her off of me, and then I turned around, and she looked really angry too. I mean, why the hell was she angry? Then she shoved me really hard to the ground, and I fell. And she called me like a tease or a prude or something like that. And then she just left, and I was alone in that big crowd. I've never told anyone that before. I guess I was just always scared that no one would believe me because it was her that did it. I mean, I just felt like she took something from me that I wasn't able to get back. And it was taken from someone I didn't expect, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. She still did it. She still did it.
Well, what about her? She's cute. Oh no, she and her girlfriend just broke up and it was really messy.
Oh, okay. What about him? I've heard he's like super smart.
Oh God, I would never.
What?
He and my brother are like coworkers.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's so weird.
Oh, what about him?
This guy? Oh my god, he's perfect. He's like totally your type too.
Right? What do you think?
No, absolutely not.
What?
I said no, he's a jerk. Find someone else.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, I
right?
think someone's just like jealous or something.
I'm not jealous, okay? I know him, and he's not a good person. He's such an idiot.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're not an idiot.
It's okay. I know you didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what happened between you two, or?
We hooked up.
Oh, whoa. Sorry, I had no idea.
Oh, no.
It's
It's no. It's not like that. I didn't really want to hook up with him.
Oh.
Wait, so did he like...
No. It's complicated.
What happened?
So he was really close friends with my old friend group, and they were setting us up because, you know, some of my friends were saying that, you know, I should get over my ex, and, you know, this guy was really nice, and he was funny, you know, not the smartest. We had all made plans to hang out on Halloween, and I had made it very clear that I was not interested in sex and, you know, hooking up like that because of all the stuff that happened with my ex.
Yeah.
But, you know, throughout the night, he just kept pushing my boundaries. You know, at first it was just cuddling, and, you know, I was fine with that, but after a while, you know, we made out a little bit, and I kind of got the ick. So I just, I just had to, like, you know, pull away for a second, and, but then some point in the night, he cornered me, and we were doing stuff, and I kept telling him, not here, not now, and he kept pushing my boundaries, and I had made it very clear multiple times during that night that I did not want to have sex.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't even know what happened in the moment, but somehow he ended up on top of me, and he was whispering these things in my ear, and I realized that, like, he's not going to give up, so I gave in.
Oh, God.
Well, that's not okay. Like, he coerced you into that.
It was obvious that you didn't want to. That's
I know.
his fault.
Yeah, no can be a lot of different other things.
And I don't know, just my friends, I thought they would understand, and I thought they would be able to comfort me the next morning, but I told my best friend, and all she said was that, you know, he made a mistake, and that, you know, he probably didn't mean to, and that, you know, our signals were probably mixed up. But, like, I had said literally multiple times throughout the night that I did not want to have sex.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even have to multiple times. One should have been enough for him to realize. And also, that's not okay of your friends to, like, put you in a situation with him when they knew you were uncomfortable.
Yeah, and, like, I told my other friend who, like, expressed that she did not like him, and she said, I told you so.
What?
That's so shitty.
That's not okay.
And, like, I'm not friends with them anymore, but it just hurts that, you know, they're still friends with him, and they were friends with my ex, too, after all of that stuff happened.
That is not your fault at all.
Yeah.
That's on them. I'm sorry that happened to you.
We're here for you.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Thank you.
I used to run in Santa Ana when I was 17. I don't anymore. I was a cross-country runner, so I would run to practice. And there was a man in his late 20s who was also running. He ran up next to me and asked me to kiss him, and I said no, and I kept running. I told him to leave me alone, and he just kept running next to me and laughing. So I started to run faster, and I outran him and lost him eventually, but he found me again and continued to follow me, and he continued to follow me and ran up next to me. He ran next to me and grabbed my vagina. And I pushed him off me, and I ran as fast as I could. And he just left again and followed me from across the street for blocks. And I started to sprint to lose him, and I finally did, but just my first experience. Other incidents happened in Santa Ana as I would walk or run, and I would get followed by a lot of cars and bikes. They were all men, and I've lost count at this point. Another incident in Los Angeles, I was walking, and a guy pulled up next to me in his car and asked for directions. So I told him how to get to his destination, but I noticed weird behavior from him, and that's when I noticed that he was, well, masturbating in his car with his penis out while I was talking to him, giving him directions. And it's shocking, you know, I felt violated and scared, and I still do, because it's gross and I can't get the visual out of my head. I've taken self-defense classes, and I carry pepper spray when I walk because of feeling unsafe. I don't really make eye contact even with men anymore when walking. I'm not as friendly as I once was, and I'm always alert. I'm so scared of this shit happening again, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it did.
I've never been much of a runner, and I've always just hated working out, but I finally decided that to feel good in my own body, I needed to push myself and go on a run even if it wasn't really my idea of fun. So I put on a little workout outfit that I felt really cute in, and I ran down to the Calafia beach. When I got to the bike path, I stopped for a moment to catch my breath. I checked my phone and was responding to my friend's text when an old man started biking near me. It's a pretty busy path, so I didn't think much of it, but then he started to yell things at me when I started running again. He said something like, "Hey, little sweetheart, I'm happy to see you running here." It made me feel really uncomfortable and just really insecure. And so naturally, I picked up my pace, and a bike should be able to pass a 5'2" girl who had a 12-minute mile in 6th grade, but this man stayed behind me and continued to yell at me. I think I just ignored him. Maybe I rolled my eyes when he yelled at me. "Oh, come on, sweetheart, are you upset? I didn't mean to make you mad. You look too pretty to stay mad at me." It was so creepy. I decided to stop so he would pass me, which he did. I waited a little bit, and then I started running again, only to find that he pulled off to the side of the path and sat down on a bench. When I passed, he said to me, "Ah, sweetheart, it looks like you've passed me this time." And the whole time he just had this big half grin on his face and continued to follow me pretty much 3 or 4 beaches down the path. From Calafia Beach almost to the San Clemente Pier, which is quite a long way. Whenever I tell this to people, I always tell myself that it wasn't that bad and other people have it worse. And that maybe I took it the wrong way, and that maybe he was trying to encourage me. But then I remember that you should always trust your gut. If you feel unsafe, you probably have a reason. And it's sad that I'm always worried about it, but I guess it's better to be safe than sorry.
This happened when I was in 1st grade, so that would make me 6 years old. And the first incident was on New Year's Eve. I was with all my family, friends, parents, kids, everything. And we were all playing this game, the one where you hold on to the ankle of someone and crawl around as fast as you can, like a wheelbarrow, and that's probably what it was called. But everyone was playing with one of the fathers except for me, and I think at this time he was 36, 34 years old. But as a 6-year-old, when there's a game in front of you that everyone else is playing, you want to play that game as well. And so when I asked him if I can play this game, he told me that I can only play if I gave him a kiss on the cheek. Instantly, I was a little weirded out by that, but all the parents and all the kids seemed to enjoy that idea, and so I agreed. But when I went to kiss him on the cheek, he turned his head to trick me into kissing his mouth. And when that happened, everyone started bursting out laughing. My face turned bright red. I can feel the redness stretch from ear to ear. And at the same time, I started wiping my mouth out of instinct, just because. But when everyone saw me do that, they started laughing harder. I think it's that initial reaction that everyone had to that kiss that encouraged this behavior behind closed doors. Thankfully, I wasn't raped or anything. It was just a lot of touching, but it eventually stopped.
What happened? So basically, I just had to talk to my teacher about cutting a scene with this guy from my class because, I don't know, he's like making me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah, what did your teacher say?
She said I didn't have to do it.
Oh, that's good, right?
Yeah, except for I still have to do a scene with him in class tomorrow, so.
Can you ask to switch out of that one too?
Well, it's like everyone already has a pair, and it would like screw things up majorly, and I don't know, I don't want to be too obvious because, like, I know if everyone found out that they would all take his side and just say I was taking it too seriously and that he was just trying to be funny. I just feel like it would make the whole situation so much worse.
Well, what has he, like, done to make you feel uncomfortable?
Let me read you the email that I sent. Hi. I wanted to send you an email about a concern I have in my scene with. Recently, he's been acting in a way that has made me very uncomfortable. He hasn't been respecting my boundaries outside of the scene and has been making vulgar comments to me. For example, earlier this week he said he was going to text me every time he jerked off, which made me very uncomfortable. Today he sat next to me and got really close. When I told him to respect my space, he kept getting closer until he was leaning against me. I asked him multiple times to stop, and he wouldn't until I told him again multiple times, and a male student jumped in. If possible, would you mind switching a different person into the scene with him? I'm not trying to get him in trouble, but I just don't think I will be able to focus on acting in the scene if I have to worry about his actions. Please keep this confidential. I really appreciate your understanding.
God, I'm so sorry. I'm glad you spoke out about it, though.
Me too.
When I was 16, I went to this acting class outside of school, and I was paired with this guy I didn't know for a scene, and the parameters were that we were boyfriend-girlfriend, which was fine, but I started to get really uncomfortable just with how close he was getting to me because I didn't know him, and it was improv, so it was kind of impossible to tell what he was going to do at any given time. I mean, everyone else around us was doing their own scene, so no one was watching when he started to fiddle with my shirt. He tried to lift it up, and I just remember being so shocked because I didn't know him. He didn't have my permission to do that. So, I mean, I backed away and I said, please don't touch me. But he just came back and slid his hands under my shirt, tried to touch
my breasts. So I pulled away again, and he just came right back at me and said, totally like in the scene, "Babe, what's wrong?" So I stepped back and I said, "I'm not acting anymore. Please don't touch me. Go away." And he just kept coming. So I excused myself to get water and just never came back. I remember feeling so violated and dirty. I mean, I sat in silence in the car for what felt like forever, just trying to work up the courage to tell my mom. I guess in his defense, you could say it was all for the scene, but I never gave him permission to do any of that. I want to be seen as intelligent and kind and driven and independent, but it's so hard when it feels like all that men see me as is an object to have sex with. I can't even interact with boys my own age because my whole life I've just grown up getting catcalled on the streets or having to spend time around creepy old men who should have known better. And I just, how am I supposed to trust interactions with people my own age when the people who are setting the example for them are just putting me in a light that makes me almost inhuman? I don't know, I struggle with it as an actress as well because I feel like there's this pressure to be objectively beautiful all the time, and I feel like all male directors want from me is that sensuality or that look, and it doesn't matter what my substance is. And I already have so much self-doubt and so much negativity going on surrounding my acting just internally, and you know, this on top of it, it just adds up. And that's the other thing, I'm so nervous to, as a woman, be entering Hollywood in an age where there's still that precedent, that standard that women are objects and are objectified and face sexualization every day. And I wish that wasn't the norm because it makes me scared.
I was waiting for the bus after school, and there was this group of teenage boys walking on the sidewalk where I was waiting, and that day was the first time I ever wore a dress, so I was already a little self-conscious that day. Anyway, they walk past me and they yell out, "Haha, nice ass, my friend thinks you're cute." And up until that point, I always thought that catcalling was just something that creepy old men did to grown women, but I was just surprised that a group of teenage boys would catcall a 13-year-old girl.
I had always loved wearing dresses. I had never thought twice about wearing one in public, but now I do. I went to Knott's Berry Farm when I was about 14 or 15, and when I was in line, there was these two guys behind me, and they were saying stupid shit like, "Damn, I want to slap that so hard." And his friend just laughing and saying, "Yeah, I want it so bad." To them, I wasn't a person. I wasn't a girl. I was just this body for them to have sex with. One of them went behind me and he said to his friend, "Watch this." And he just pretended to fuck me. And I turned around, I politely asked them to stop. I mean, my cousin was with me, and she's a bit younger than me, but she obviously didn't know what to do in that situation, and she was clearly uncomfortable as well. His friend went behind me and reached under my dress and grabbed me. And he tried to lift up my dress, and I tried to kick him as hard as I could, but it wasn't enough for him to stop. I mean, when they finally left, I just felt so relieved. I'm still scared of wearing dresses in public. When people make jokes about me being a slut or saying that I'm easy, it takes me right back. And it makes me feel like how men see me or treat me, it's like, is that all that I am? It's like the way that they view me just has the power to completely dictate how I feel. And I know I shouldn't let how other people think about me affect me that much. But just growing up in a world where women are taught to apologize for everything, to make themselves small, to, I don't know, please men, I just can't help but feel that way.
At first, a part of me feels validated when I get yelled at. And when I go out and I don't get catcalled, I'm left thinking, what's wrong with me? Which is totally fucked up. I mean, it's terrible that women are conditioned to think that our beauty is our best asset. And we learn to think that, walking down the street and getting catcalled and harassed is okay. And then you're left feeling used and small. A compliment should never make or break your confidence. You're told your whole life that you're pretty. And then when that's taken away from you, or it's not enough, what are you left with?
I was with my boyfriend at the time in the orange circle, just walking around, and he left to go get something from his car. And while he was gone, these two guys around my age came up to me and they were whistling at me, and they were both trying to grab my ass. And I was just trying to walk away, but they started following me and yelling at me. And I was just praying for my boyfriend to come back or for someone walking by to intervene, but no one did, so I had to turn around and yell at them and say, "Touch me and I'll call the cops." And that scared them. They went away. I was kind of proud of myself for fighting back. I hadn't been able to do that before, like that type of thing had happened to me. I don't really want to get into that, but I'll just say I didn't really know how to react in a situation like that, because it was the first time that someone had looked at me like a body. And it made me feel really small because, I mean, usually I consider myself to be kind of an interesting person to talk to. Like, my friends seem to be interested in what I have to say. But in that situation, I was just an object for someone to grab and yell at. And it feels like the intention is to humiliate women. And I wonder, like, do they understand that what they're doing is wrong? And then they continue to do it? Or are they just clueless? Because to me, that's evil. I don't understand how men can do that to someone. And I really hope that one day they'll see how insignificant it makes us feel.
It was after sunset, and my female friend and I were walking from a thrift store to Taco Bell. It was like a 5-minute walk across 2 streets. And then this man came up to us and he asked us where we were going. And so I told him I was going to my parents, which was a lie. But he just wouldn't budge and kept talking to us and telling us how pretty we were. And we felt very unsafe at this point, so we decided to walk away without looking or saying a word to him. But he kept following us until this other man, maybe in his 20s, showed up and asked us where we had been, and he was acting pretty pissed that we'd been late. He was rescuing us. He saw what was happening, and he pretended to know us so that he could escort us to safety. And then the man finally left. We thanked the 20-year-old, and we just sat in the corner until our parents arrived. We just joked about it and pretended that we didn't just go through a scary experience because we didn't really know each other that well. Women shouldn't have to be harassed until a man shows up.
A lot of what happened in my last relationship wasn't healthy. And it's been years, but it still feels weird to say that because I felt pretty happy when I was with him. I thought he was cute, funny, and I mean, I did enjoy hanging out with him. But one of the things that made me feel the worst was just how he would, like, pester me for nudes. And I always made it very clear, that I would never be sending any photos of my body. But still, every now and then, he'd always, like, slip in a little hint, like I'm so bored, I wish I could see you. Maybe if you want to send anything. And I would say no, and it would just make me upset, and he would joke about it, like, oh, that's one way to make you mad, which felt belittling almost. He was directly disrespecting my boundaries, and I should be mad, frankly, but I really liked him, and I didn't realize that how he acted at the time was bad. And he was also just incredibly possessive, even though he would do things that would kind of break my trust. And, like, he would get really flirty with other girls and would stay up talking to them, like, really late at night while he just wasn't answering my texts. And when I had any friendship with a guy, he would be insanely jealous. Like, I remember I hugged one of my best guy friends, and he was like, why don't I get treatment? Do you like him more than me? As if he didn't, like, drop my hand when a pretty girl walked up to us 5 minutes beforehand. And I realized after that he wasn't possessive of me because he was jealous of the time my friends were receiving or anything. It was because he saw me as a sexual object. And that's why I saw him as my boyfriend. but I felt so guilty for it. I thought I was doing something that made him unhappy, when really I was loyal. I was caring. I respected his boundaries. But he made me feel so bad. I remember doubting everything about myself. Maybe if I was prettier, maybe he would have liked me more. Maybe if I was smarter or funnier, or even if we just had more of a similar music taste. I questioned everything because no one ever taught me that the way that he treated me wasn't normal.
Little star, light up my world. You're the sweetest sound I've ever heard. I see your eyes looking into me. Will it give you time? Will it give you peace? All the places you've been to and clothes you've grown into. I know that it's hard cause they just don't believe you. They'll tear you apart and then laugh while you're down on your knees. Little star, don't let them take your spirit. You're strong in mind and heart. Please promise you'll make them hear it, cause it's never enough to give as much as he does. You work twice as hard and they take credit right from us. They say that they get it, but really it's just not the same. I know they don't deserve you. Cut you down and just blur it out. Empty promises for such an optimist, but they can't fix this. You grew up quick cause you had to overnight. Yeah, they took it from you. They say it's gonna change, but it still hasn't changed. Will it ever change? Little star, light up my world. You're the sweetest sound I've ever heard.
I want things to change. I want to live in a world that isn't dangerous for women and girls. But efforts need to be made for this to happen. To make change, we need to continue to make our voices heard. We need to continue to share our stories and support one another and help each other. But most importantly, people need to listen to women. Everybody knows about feminists and everybody knows about the Me Too movement, but nobody is actually listening. It's like people have the TV on in the background while they're doing work. They're not actually listening. They're not hearing what we're saying. Women and our stories and our anger and our rage are just background voices for those who refuse to listen.